Hello, today is May the 19th, 2018. My last call said I was looking for lower prices, which we got. I also expected a big move, which we didn't get. We had a target. I thought it might not print, and it didn't. During the day, MEJT gave a buy signal. A buy signal, unlike buy signals in other systems, doesn't mean you enter in order to buy. It means there's a target at a higher price. By the time the signal had completed, the target had already printed. When the target prints, you're at resistance. So the signal said higher prices would print. They already had printed. And even though you had these beautiful buys, they were already satisfied and you were at resistance. You didn't have much to do as far as a trade at this point. But when we dropped, because you're on a buy signal, this drop couldn't stick. The system marked it as a false move and said prices would retrace, which they did. Nothing from the system carries over into Monday's trade. We have mixed signals, and I think because of that, the most likely thing is we gap outside of the day's range, or at least gap and promptly trade outside of it. We gapped down, hit a lower low, and closed over all these lows. That's a rejection of the lows, and unless it's invalidated by gapping and promptly taking out this low, higher prices should print. On the other side of the coin, we couldn't take out any of these highs, and almost always when you drop all day on a Friday, you're going to carry through and drop early on Monday's trade. I think it'll be obvious by the open if we're going to be up or down. If we gap up sharply, if that were to happen, it could lead to a pretty good rally. I think it's more likely we move down first and then reverse, but it certainly isn't a lock. The general idea is we have an impulse down, we're in a consolidation, and once it ends, a big steep drop and wave blue 3 down should begin. Now this was a 61.8% retracement of this, and this was a date that was important to me, so I was hoping that was purple A, that was purple B, and that was purple C. It might have been a bit of a stretch to have this big purple A and the short purple C, but didn't really break any rules, even though it looked a bit strange. Well, if that were the count, this should have been an impulse down. I don't see that, so no rule has been violated yet, but I think it's more likely than not that that's not what's going on. Blue 2 probably is not here. From this high, the 61.8% retracement, I still think you can count 5 waves, and then you can count an ABC. But rather than that being the end of 2, I think it's just A of 2, if that's the right count. If we drop, you have an A, B with a C down. That would be green, capital B, and then you should have a recovery. So if we drop, you'd expect a recovery. If we go up instead, you have to talk yourself into this being a triangle. A, B, C, D. The E to me is a bit of a stretch, and usually when you force yourself into a count, the count's wrong, but if we gap up, I think you can explain it. Well, I was hoping that was A and that was B, even though it looks a bit contorted to have a small C, but I think we have to admit that probably is not what's going on. It's more plausible to think that's purple A and that's B. 23.6% retracement of A. We're probably still in purple C. And if there's a relationship between purple A and purple C, you've got a few targets. If we drop from here, you could say, well, that was it. I really find it hard to come up with a count that makes that plausible. I think it's more likely that that's A of purple C, that we're going to make an ABC down here, and then you have one more fling up, ending at a higher price. But again, whenever you count these things in the consolidation, you always have to keep your eraser handy. I think the most likely thing for Monday's trade is we gap outside of the range. If we gap down, I will look for prices to reverse. If it's up, I think there could be a pretty strong move. And I think it's unlikely that we've seen the top of this consolidation, we've seen the end of this consolidation yet. And that's today's call.